how would other countries react to it?
Well, I think Milton's fundamental example of why not be like Britain in the 19th century is wrong. Britain in the 19th century was the industrialized country. It was well ahead of everybody else.
Many decades ahead.
Many decades ahead of everybody else. And it was making larger profits, larger economic rents on its production. And it was doing it at very great cost to the workers in Britain. The workers in Britain were greatly exploited under those circumstances, and we don't want to go back to that. The international situation is much more complex. There are countries at different levels of development, countries with different social systems, and countries with different social objectives. So I think that the solution, is wrongly founded, and it's millenarian, it's utopian. I think that we have to think of a much more realistic process of discussion, negotiation, such as has taken place through GATT, to get to where we're going without hurting the people who pay for the adjustment, and that is basically the workers, not the economists.
Yep. Could I just comment briefly? I worry about the argument that because of the complexities of international relations, that therefore they must be planned and managed. By definition, we're not capable of managing the world economy. Each instance when we try to do it, it doesn't work out quite the way we intended.
I don't apologize for a moment for being millenarian, because I think unless we know where we want to go, the timid steps that we take in that direction will go in the wrong direction. And if we're going to go in the right direction, we ought to have a view. But I want to be sure to get down on the record a very strong objection to the statement of fact by Helen Hughes about 19th century Britain. I believe it is simply wrong. The workers were not exploited. The studies that have been done recently have shown over and over again that the 19th century was a period in which the ordinary English worker experienced a very rapid and very substantial rise in his standard of life. England does not stand alone. Japan had complete free trade for 30 years after the Meiji Restoration. Japan in more recent years has not. Japan in more recent years is not an example I would cite. But in its early years, it had complete free trade. So I don't believe England stands alone. Now, on the
politics of it.
On the politics of it, of course it's not politically feasible. Why? Because it's only in the general interest and in nobody's special interest. Each of us is fundamentally has more concern with our role as a producer of one product than we have as a consumer of 1,001 products. The benefits of a tariff are visible. Mr. Deason can see that his workers are, quote, protected. The harm which a tariff does is invisible. It's spread widely. There are people who don't have jobs because of the tariff, but they don't know they don't have jobs. There's nobody who can organize them. Consumers all over are paying a little more for this, that, and the other thing. They don't recognize that the reason they're paying for it is because of the tariff. The businessmen, I have never been in favor. I'm not pro-business. I'm pro-free enterprise, which is a very different thing. And the reason I'm pro-free enterprise...
when you say that.
No, I don't mean to point to you, Don. I point to the business community, because you are an exception.
Because he conceded there was a tacit alliance across that way to prevent you from achieving your purpose.
Oh, there's no doubt that there's such an alliance. In my opinion, the strongest argument for free enterprise is that it prevents anybody from having too much power, whether that person is a government official, a trade union official, or a business executive. It forces them to put up or shut up. They either have to deliver the goods, produce something that people are willing to pay for or willing to buy, or else they have to go into a different business.
Well, there we must leave the argument for this week, and I hope you'll join us again for the next episode of Free to Choose.
50 years ago, the worst economic depression in history changed the course of the world. Did it have to happen, or could it have been avoided? For the first time on television, Milton Friedman gives his account of the inside story of the desperate years that changed the world. That's next week on Free to Choose. Don't miss it.